Good morning. Good morning. My goodness. Okay, so I'm an hour late today. An hour late, and I'm trying to figure out where the camera on my phone is because I have my phone turned a funky way. So being an hour late, it's been an interesting morning already. I've got sick kids in the house, woke up late, did not want to even get up. It was like, why is my phone making this obnoxious sound? It was my alarm clock. And yeah, so I turned it off and promptly fell right back asleep. So some mornings are just like that. And then woke up to the kids going all different directions and going, oh man, I'm being tardy this week. It's my tardy week. I'm just proclaiming it tardy week. But today's topic for Conscious Coffee, which kind of took me about an hour to figure out because it took me that long to wake up, even though I'm on my second cup of coffee and I'm still just going, okay, I'm not quite clear yet. So bear with me as I drink coffee, lay in bed, and talk about the topic of the day, which is open and shut. So today's whole title of open and shut is really all about our openness and how our lack of openness causes our suffering. And here's kind of, as we go through this quickly, you'll get it. So truly, if you look at life and at the times that you feel the most constricted in life, where there's a lot of suffering, where you feel disempowered, where you feel, some sort of closed off, shut down, where you just can't move, that feeling of feeling stuck. What that is that we're not really fully, you could say, breathing into life, opening up to life, where we're expressing ourselves and feeling the expression of life coming through us. So it's, to the extent that we can open, to the extent that we can surrender to life, is also the extent that we will either feel suffering or feel bliss. And everywhere in between are all these other emotions, okay, and experiences that we go through. If you find yourself feeling really, really stuck, and I, I'm gonna give a story. Actually, let me give a story. So I know this person, and she is talented and smart, and and she's a fantastic person, and she helps a ton of people. But her moods do this. Okay, she's a woman. Number one, she's a woman, not a big deal. But she latches onto these moods, and it's not realizing that in that mood, that it is just what it is, and that the way through it is to just surrender to life in that moment. But instead, she gets caught up in this mood and this expression of herself in that moment, and goes into a deeper, darker spot with more restriction, more pain, more suffering, feeling even more closed off to life and to herself, and ultimately to her bliss, to her ability to experience abundance. So I've seen her have fantastic months where, she's made phenomenal amounts of money, done phenomenal group things, had her love life rockin', her health rockin', all this different stuff going. And then all of a sudden, it seems from the outside perspective that this crashing comes from nowhere. And she'll then crash, and everything will shut down around her, and the abundance will stop flowing, and she'll want to sleep more, and I'm talking about not sleeping in, but like falling asleep during the day, taking lots of naps, being just grumpy and disconnected, and saying no to things that she would normally say yes to that would make her feel good. So shutting herself down from the world, not going out and doing the things that she normally do, not making those connections. not being overtired and just needing probably to take a day of rest. But so she just shuts down on everything, and with that shutting down of everything, her mood starts to crash and starts to burn even more, and then she gets more into the suffering, more into this restriction mode on self. And what she's not seeing is that in that moment, the space, the way through it is to step into the space of surrender, to step into that deep space of the heart and just open up to love even more. If you open up to that depth of love, and I'm not just talking about like love in a romantic relationship, I'm talking about love for self and love to the divine, because that right there is basically going to reflect out into all other relationships. How much do you love yourself? Well, that's going to come back to you from how the love that you're receiving in your life in general is, and what you're giving to yourself. So to step through this space of restriction, like what I'm talking about with this one particular friend of mine, she is stuck in this space of suffering, and this space of, it puts herself in that container almost and lids herself off and makes it where she cannot really experience the joys of life. All of that is caused because she is restricting the flow of love through her, restricting the flow of surrender through her. So life can't flow through, the divine can't flow through, because she's got herself shut down and just basically trapped into this space of restriction. And with that comes tremendous suffering, because much like anything else, I mean, if you just take a moment right now and you just sit there and you just tighten your body up, like bring your hands close to you and make all your muscles really, really tight, and just kind of bring everything in. What's going on in your body in that moment? You're probably feeling tension rise up in your shoulders, tension rise up in your neck, all these different spaces where you're going to feel more constriction from that pressure that you're applying to yourself. Where if you just relax into your body, you take a breath. So this is like breathing in, right? What I was talking about, breathing into love, breathing into life, and relaxing into it. When you actually soften and go into that space, then everything is going to be able to flow through you more easily. Just like if you go from this constricted way, just to test drive it, right? Bring your body into that constriction, and then just, and if you relax, you allow your shoulders to drop down and you relax into your chest, there's a couple things that might happen. If you actually have any emotional constriction going on in your body, you may actually have like a little bit of fear rise up inside of you, like, if I relax too much, I might start crying, or if I relax too much, I'm going to feel more. Exactly. You're going to feel more, but you're feeling into where you're at. You're feeling into your life. You're feeling into the expression of energy that is permeating from you, that's going out into the world. Feel into those spaces. Every single one of them is an opening space. In order for us to receive the abundance in whatever category we want, we have to open to it. But what we do is we end up just shutting down, and we end up doing this constriction, like what I was talking about with one particular friend. She goes into these high spaces, and when she's going, it's just like, yes, crash. And when that crash happens, and maybe you've noticed this in your life too, when we crash, then stuff all of a sudden starts going bad, doors start slamming shut on us, things just stop happening the way we want them to happen, or the way they were happening. It was so joyous and fun, and then all of a sudden the doors start slamming. Have you ever noticed that doors just keep slamming on you? Things just keep shutting down. Slam, 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 slam. And you just shut down until you actually make a decision to do something different, to change your thought. Nothing else around us ever really changes except for how we are looking at a situation. How we are it's not just necessarily looking at the situation, but feeling into the situation. So as long as we are just constricted down like this, then we're shutting down our own doorways. We're just preventing ourselves from moving forward in that flow much like with my friend, she's just like flow, 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 flow. And then what happens? A crash. When we shut down, when we experience that crash, we are shutting ourselves down. That is a sign that we have shut ourselves down to our own heart, to our own love, to our own ability to breathe in life. And when we stop breathing in life, everything else stops flowing to us. It's very, very simple, actually. Not very even exciting. It's just the whole that, you shut it down, and it's kind of like you're just holding your breath. Well, when you're holding your breath, not a whole lot, all of a sudden, what does your focus do? Your focus goes to, how am I going to get that next breath? Where is that next breath going to come? Blah, 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 blah. So our focus in that constriction area also goes to exactly like what we're the most worried, concerned about, fearful of, that scarcity mindset where we're getting focused on. And that hangs us up until something throws us off, something shifts for us, and we start thinking, feeling something else. So it's like in that moment, there's something that happens and we go, oh, and now we're off and we're going again. So this is a natural flow because we have programs, patterns that have been set in our life from our childhood, from society, from mass ego that takes over our communities, our cities, our states, our countries, and our world in general. And there's this mass ego that has that effect as well, that helps us see these patterns even more, and they are programming us consistently. So we get caught up into these programs, these patterns, and that is just us basically accepting a belief or creating a belief from these old ways of thinking. And when we start to do that, that's typically what happens when doors start to shut. One of those thoughts has kind of popped up and said, hey, and we didn't really put a whole lot of focus on it, or somebody said something that brought something up inside of us, or we just, end up having some scenario form that brings up this old pattern. And before we even know it, we've kind of latched onto that old pattern again, and then we're stuck in it, and we're moving through, and we get really, really stuck there. And then it's just until we decide to breathe, we're not breathing, basically. And dominating my day yesterday, very difficult. Yeah, thank you, Lori. I mean, it's one of those things that I think we go through all the time. I mean, I'm not going to try to say that I don't go through this, because I go through it frequently. A lot of the times I've gotten a lot better. What used to hold me up for what I always say, what used to hold me up for 2 years, I can now process in about 20 minutes. And there's a lot of work in that, of just the recognition of, whoa, I had this happen. And here's the thing, often I don't catch the thought that caused me to shift into that shutdown. What I do notice is I'll catch that I have a feeling that all of a sudden I'm going, whoa, I'm feeling insecure. I am feeling overwhelmed. I am feeling really agitated and irritable. And it's these feelings that go through me, that it's not typically like I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling normally irritated, agitated, insecure, overwhelmed, those things. If I don't pay attention to those feelings in those moments, then all of a sudden they will get that snowball effect, and they're going to pull me down even more. And then all of a sudden, which is not all of a sudden, because I just wasn't aware on that front side, right? So I had a thought that caused these initial feelings of irritation, overwhelm, insecurity, whatever that is. I still didn't pay attention. If I don't pay attention, if I'm not aware, if I don't choose to stop and breathe into love, breathe into that feeling of life just flowing through in that moment, then I get taken captive by these feelings, and now I'm getting pulled down even more into these depths. And as I get pulled down more into these depths, I feel more stuck, I feel more suffering, I feel more pain, which causes me to start to feel depression, anger, all these other more negative thoughts, and it gets me right there, and I just go, ugh. And now I'm really down there in the gutter with these nasty emotions, and I feel more stuck in it. So when that happens, then and I'm sure, I mean, everybody goes through this, right? We get into that space. And when that happens, then the only way through it is that you're going to sit in it until one of two things happen. Until you make, wow, there are two birds fighting in the tree outside. One of two things are going to happen to get you out of that. You're either going to make a conscious decision to step out of it and to change your thoughts, which means that you're going to literally force yourself to make a different decision. So just to start thinking something different, to start to do something for yourself that is, going to benefit yourself to get out of that scenario, whatever that might mean to get you out of that scenario. And I'll tell you a story, because just yesterday I had this happen to me for about an hour of my day. Or you just go until your cycle changes, and all of a sudden something shifts you inside, because there's only so much that you can handle of that, and then you start to come up. Now the problem with going with with what will feel like, well, I'll just let it, work itself out, is that if you allow yourself to get into this rut of this pattern of shutdown, and just waiting until it ripples out far enough that something shifts inside of you naturally, you could say, is that potentially could take 2 years. So, this is how I believe this is how we get stuck in those long terms of suffering, of depression, of difficult times, because we're just trying to let it just, we get started on that front side, we don't catch it, and it just kind of just lingers in our life, and it becomes our life. As human beings, we are very, very quick to settle into a situation, to settle into a feeling, an emotion. I mean, it's shown over and over again. People get abducted, or something bad happens, an abusive relationship, and we just settle into these spaces, and it becomes safe to us almost. We get very comfortable very quickly in something. That is not a good thing. It can be a good thing if we're comfortable in the positive, in the upward motion that's going to take us that direction that our desires are. But if we're not comfortable in that, and we get comfortable in something negative, then we're going to just consistently just be right there. And that then shows you like a pattern of, say 20 years of suffering, or a lifetime of suffering. That's because that person got stuck in the comfort of the suffering, which sounds crazy as heck. Like, how can you be comfortable suffering? But there is this piece that will, if you're not willing to consciously step into that embracing, like I said, when you're into this constriction right here, and as you start to breathe out, if you're actually holding anything, you may notice that in that emotion of you just, that there might be almost a fear or a worry or an anxiety that starts to stem up as you start to relax in to yourself, breathe into life. Fear, worry may start to rise up, because it is an uncomfortable space to just relax into life. We're not accustomed to that, because we have programmed ourselves into actually tightening up and constricting in life. So we're actually comfortable in the constriction instead of the flow. That's why we're not flowing, because we're more comfortable over there in the pain than we are in the pleasure. You have to really, really want to step over there, over that line in from suffering into joy, to be able to move through that discomfort that that's gonna rise up inside of you, because it's a false fear. It really is. It's a false fear, but you've got to be willing to face that false fear and step over that line to be able to embrace the joy. And so many people, self-included on bad days, that you just don't want to, you just don't want to deal with this. It's like, no, it's just too much. That's too risky. That's too this, that's too that. And when we do that, we just do not allow our joy to come in. So the ticket to embracing the joy the true ticket to embracing the joy, is to really, step into our deepest desires and not away from them. Because when we step away from those deep desires, and when I'm talking about desires, like, what do you really want in life? What brings you happiness? What makes you laugh? What puts a smile on your face? What are you passionate about? What turns you on? What makes you want to get up in the morning? Is it your job? Probably not, right? It's probably not your job. Most people are like, oh God, no, I don't want to get up for my job. That's probably because you're just doing your job out of duty. Is it a relationship? Are you excited about a relationship in your life? Maybe you're not excited to get out of bed. Maybe you need to find some passion. That means that you're really constricted. If you're not excited about getting out of bed, then it's like, I went back to bed this morning, but it's really just what gets that passion, what gets the turn on, where do you find the love, where do you find the enthusiasm, what are you, anticipating in life? Is there anticipation in life? These spaces of exhilaration, of joy, of happiness, of laughter, of feeling like you're right there, like, yes, yes, yes. Those are the spaces of that deep desire that I'm talking about. So when we actually step into our, really tapping into that deep desire of the heart, that's that open space of surrender, because now we become curious about life. Now, and guess what? Curiosity gives us more courage than anything else. We can have, I swear, curiosity will give you courage. If you can find curiosity about your life, if you can find that desire, that passion that you want, then you're going to have the courage to come up against that illusion, that fear that you're feeling, that doubt that you're feeling, the worry that you're feeling when you go, oh wow, oh, there might be something there that I need to work through, that I don't want to actually, experience in this moment. Come up against it and move through it, breathe into it, because there's so much release and so much beauty on the other side of seeing that whatever that you're fearing really is just an illusion. And that's what you've got to get to. So let me see if I can find this. I wrote a quote down. To the extent that you close and pull back from your experiences, you feel separate. To the extent that you close and protect your heart, you feel alone. That's David Tita, by the way. And that right there, it's that I'm talking about, that pulling back. And he refers to, that you close and pull back from experiences. Where are you saying no? And here's the thing, it's not that you're necessarily saying no to hold a boundary, or to say, I'm not talking about that. It's like saying no to stuff. We say no in our energy. We say no by not opening. We say no by not actually authentically connecting and communicating to people. And so I've got so many different stories that actually go right around this. There's a few different things. Yesterday I was talking to somebody, and I told them that, I said, you just made me really aware of the fact that we as a world society, and especially in Western culture, that we live a life of really surface level relationship. And it was interesting because I share a lot of different personal stories in my coaching, trying to help people see different ways and everything. And with this particular client, I've shared like childhood stories. And he referred to it, he's like, I don't know if it's because you've shared these intimacies with me or not, but he was telling me how, that he felt open and close to me, and there was just this connection that he was feeling. And then he related back to a childhood story that I had told him about my father and different stuff like that, of camping, because I grew up in the Sierra Nevadas, and my dad had a gold claim, so I had a whole bunch of different, some really cool childhood stories, and I had related some of these childhood stories to him, but he referred to it as me sharing an intimacy with him, and how much connection he felt from me sharing this intimacy of basically camping as a child. And as he was sharing that, I just went, like, whoa, he's right. We communicate on such a surface level, even with the people that we're friends with, even with our children, even with our lovers, our partners, our husbands, our wives. We are living at this existence of surface level, which means that we are shut down to the experiences that life's offering. We are actually pulling back, as David Dieter refers to it, pulling back from those experiences. We're pulling back from love. We're pulling back from stepping into our life because we're scared to share, to reveal intimacy with the people in our life. And so we just give them just droplets. Well, with that, the lid works both ways, okay? Things don't get out and things don't come in, which causes us to feel separate, which causes us to feel this space between. So do you feel like you're just completely alone in the world and that there's really nobody out there? Then there's some sort of a separation there. And I can tell you what, I have those feelings a lot where I feel like I'm completely alone. I'm this, I'm that, like I was born alone, I'm going to die alone, all this different stuff. And in those moments that I feel the most connected are those moments that I'm fully open and surrendered and revealing of self. Potentially that's probably why I share so much that I do, because I've learned that through that sharing and that authentic relating, as I refer to it, there is a connection there. So the more open we are with each other, the more connection we're going to feel with each other. That doesn't mean sitting around. We tend to connect in multiple ways. It doesn't mean sitting around and talking about all the negativity, trying to connect from our pain, trying to connect from our wound. It doesn't mean that we always have to be happy and joyous, trying to connect from this happy place. It just means sharing and listening to what is going on in your picture, in that experience, and tapping more into it, going more into the experience that's presenting itself to you. Because here's the reality. You're not going to be able to change life at all. Life is going to happen. What you can change is how you approach different experiences and the energy that you are bringing to the experience, because that energy that you bring to this experience right now in this moment, whatever it is going to basically create the next experience and the next experience and the next experience, because our energy in every single moment is rippling out and creating our next experience. So how are you showing up? Are you shutting down to these experiences that you're having right now? Or are you opening up in love to these experiences? The more you can open up to love and to everything that you're wanting, which typically is connection, then the more that you're actually going to be able to experience and open and have that next moment be better, and the next moment be better, and the next and the next and next, and it just gets better and better and better. I have trouble knowing how much to share. I want to share and often do, but I often wonder if I shared too much. Is that possible? It depends on what you're sharing. I think who you're, there comes a lot into it of choice. Are you sharing to connect and to reveal and to share? Like, is it a true gift of sharing? So a true gift of sharing is that nothing is going to come back, that nothing has to come back to you, that you are just sharing and to connect and to open and to help and to reveal. There's no expectation of understanding coming back. There's no expectation of, oh, I know how, empathy or a pat on the back. Is your ego going to be stoked at all in your sharing? Look at that one first of all, because if your ego is getting stoked from sharing, then you're doing it from a state of ego instead of a state of complete and true sharing. The other thing is that you have to realize that not every single person is going to be able to experience your share at the same level as somebody else. So what's the other person's, how truly safe do you feel in that moment? And here's a good way. You're going to know if you just tap into your feelings. So if there's hesitation around you sharing, then you probably don't fully trust the situation, which means you don't fully trust the people that you're there with. Open sharing flows naturally. It just does, because there is trust. You can feel the presence in the connection between yourself and another, and the more presence that is there, the more trust is there. If somebody is not present, if you tap into yourself and you feel any reservation in sharing something, that means something that either they can't handle it, or they're not fully present in that moment with you, or you're just off and you're sharing for a reason that you're not supposed to be sharing. If you feel completely open and your only reservation to sharing is just a fear of, like, oh, maybe should I share it, shouldn't I share it? It doesn't make me look like a bad person. Now that's your ego playing with you in a different way, saying, oh, don't connect here. Don't do this. Don't do that. If you have I should not share this, or I don't think that this makes me look like a bad person, that's your ego fighting against you. It's telling you, hey, don't do this, don't do that. And that's probably a program running. It might not be necessarily the situation. So tap into your body, and quite literally, this is like step away from your brain, focus in on something that is meaningless, like a dripping sink or a ticking clock, for just 30 seconds before you share something. I just focus into that and tap into the sensation in your body. What are you really feeling? Do you feel a lot of constriction? Do you feel a lot of worry? Do you feel a lot of fear? Where is it coming from? Those kinds of things. And read into your body and pay attention to that, because your body is going to guide you on if you should share or not. Does that make any sense, Lori? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on that. So yeah, I mean, it can get into touchy ground, but I don't ultimately think that you can share too much if the scenario is that you're sharing from that space of heart. Okay, so if you're sharing from that space of heart, you're good. And it truly is about, revealing the self so that you can be more seen and become think of it like you're clarifying butter. You're clarifying yourself here. You're really getting rid of all that stuff that is not needed. Good. All that stuff that's not needed, which is all that little shit. It's all the pebbles that block us from so much, those veils that hang down and just create that space, that separation there. So when we step truly into that love space, sometimes it's hard to get back into that. So personal intimacy share here, as it was called yesterday. So yesterday I decided that I was going to clean my desk. Because my desk, I've just been avoiding my desk, and I keep putting it on my schedule to clean my desk, and I just go, no, oh my God, I've seriously been avoiding the desk. But I'm like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. And the reason I wanted to clean my desk is, number one, I've just allowed a lot of chaos to happen on my desk. Kids bringing me stuff, work stuff there. And then I have a drawer where I keep anything that, like, fun activities, pamphlets, tickets, like travel stuff, and going to the circus, going to a play or whatever. And I have all my tickets in there, and it's kind of like it's going to be my adventure scrapbook drawer someday. So I keep everything in there I probably have like 3 years worth of stuff in this drawer, and that's just what's in there. Well, I got also a whole bunch of CDs from ziplining and from different events that I've been to all over the world, and all this different stuff. And then there's also notes and stuff, like little love letters that are in one drawer, and all this different stuff. So recently I experienced a heartbreak event over this last year, and that caused a lot of separation and pain and suffering in my own physical body, and just, getting caught up in the emotion of that. And so I've been avoiding my desk because I did not want to have to actually look at, read, or even touch these love notes, or see the pictures that, you know, like that we had gotten in different spaces, spots around the world, or see the travel or anything like that. But I sit at this desk every single day, and I'm going, it's almost like it's permeating out of the desk at this point, because I know that's in there. So now I'm not opening up certain drawers because this stuff is there, which is causing me to basically change my flow. And I'm not putting other things away because I don't want to look at this stuff. I don't want to accidentally read one of these things. So I'm like, I got to do something about this. I got to clean my desk. So, and also the desk is a representation, just like the house, of what is going on in here. And I've been feeling very scattered and cluttered. So I'm like, if I take care of this one section in my home, then I'm going to get more clarity in my life and in everything there. So I go to clean my desk, and I started, of course, with the drawer that was the furthest away from the drawer that I was actually wanting to clean. I started off with the easy drawer and got into that, and God was so sweet. He made sure that there was something in that drawer for me to deal with right away. So I'm like, okay. So anyways, long story short, I cleaned the whole desk. I got everything organized. I went through all of that emotional stuff. And as I'm going through that emotional stuff, I was tempted to access deeper into it, like start reading the notes and really looking at things. But then I went, oh, no, you know what? I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to go through that. I don't want to get rid of this stuff, but I'm going to put it away in a safe spot, because it is beautiful memories. It's beautiful, beautiful memories. I'm just not ready to look at those memories right now. So I put everything in a box. And as I was just putting it in a box, I felt this like a dagger in my chest. And I did not want to breathe. I did not want to breathe, because if I started to breathe, it felt like I was pushing up against that fear that I'm talking about. I was pushing into that space of just like, and I felt all this constriction around everything, and this pain coming in, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, like who? But I went ahead, I finished cleaning my desk, but my mood went from, okay, yes, to, like I really started feeling very bitchy and irritable and frustrated and then overwhelmed, and I'm just like, this is not getting any better. It's not getting any better. And then I tried to consciously change my thoughts. So I was trying to change my thoughts. I'm like, I'm going to start thinking something positive. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start thinking positive. Well, I started trying to think something positive, and it pissed me off even more. So then I started getting more mad, because now I'm trying to force the thought that I really was not feeling, and trying to force that thought made me get even angrier inside and constrict even more. It's like, damn it. So then I went and I cleaned my kitchen. I'm like, all right, so I busied myself. I'm like, I'm going to go clean the kitchen. I cleaned the kitchen. That didn't work. I found myself just like trying to work it out in this frustration, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I cleaned the kitchen. I went and I got laundry, and I folded all this laundry that I had been doing yesterday morning, and I took it all upstairs, brought it up here to the bedroom, and I put all the laundry away. And I still have this pain in my chest. Like, this is now 20 minutes later. I still have this pain in my chest, and I'm not breathing. I'm not breathing because it's a scary space to breathe into. Because what? Oh my goodness, I might feel this. Who knows what I'm going to feel? I knew what I was going to feel. I knew I was going to feel this loss, right? That was my fear, was I was going to feel the loss again. I'm going to feel this loss, and that's going to pull me away from everything. And then with that came sadness, and came all of this just like like that, and of course tears, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to just become a crying mess, and I have all these appointments later today, and I've got this and I've got that, and I can't do that right now. Like, I don't have time to step into this mourning process right now to go and take care of myself, which is silly, but that's what I was feeling. I was feeling that frustration and that fear, and there was a lot of fear about just breathing into that. Well, I decided I was going to lay down on the bed, so I just laid down here on the bed and closed my eyes and just started focusing in. I literally put my hand on where the physical pain was at, and I just closed my eyes and I started breathing into that space, and I allowed myself to tap into that space a little bit. And yes, the pain of not having crept up. Yes, the fear of never experiencing what I have experienced over the last few years felt like I may never have that again. That fear came in. The insecurity of, like why came in. All this different stuff started coming in. But I just went with it. I just allowed myself to experience that. And as I allowed myself to experience and go deeper into what I was feeling into my body, into that very scary space, and holding on to that pain in my chest right there, I just applied the pressure to it. I was just, and I did that. I did probably good 15 good deep breaths and just relaxing. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to relax my rib cage. I was trying to relax my chest around that pain, because I could feel my muscles just doing this inside, and it was causing this horrible, horrible physical pain. And as I relaxed those muscles, and I was just consciously trying to relax those muscles with every single breath, and going into these fear, doubt, anger, all this different stuff that was coming up, it just kind of washed through me, and it came through me like that. And then every now and then this incredible love would pop up. It would just pop up from that, and I would just feel all this love in my chest all of a sudden, just which really made me want to cry, and then sent me even more into a place of fear and doubt and loss and all this different stuff, because I know that there's so much love attached to this person. And I'm open, and out, but I just kept breathing into it. So as I did this for probably 20 minutes laying there, I slowly actually drifted off to sleep. I fell asleep for 15-20 minutes, took a little cat nap. I woke up with my hand on my chest right there, and I breathed into my body, and I felt peace. I felt peace in that moment. I was okay, I'm at a place. So peace, when we feel peace, we're at a place of comfort, of stability in ourselves. We are at a place where there's belief in something more, but there's not a massive of desire in any direction. So we're not changing. We're not trying to change anything when we're in peace. We're just here. It's a beautiful space to kind of really get into, what do I want? What do I want? I'm at this, just this threshold of the world is my oyster type thing. And that's that space of peace. And then from peace, you can go into moving up in your emotions. So finding joy, finding different things that you're actually wanting to tap into, and making more conscious decisions to move towards that, which is exactly what I ended up doing yesterday. And I didn't feel any more pain or suffering or anything like that, because it will pass. Need to go with it, not fight it. Yeah, no, it will pass. And that's exactly true, April. I mean, that's exactly what it's like, breathing in and finding what that reset point is for you. Because I mean, I'm not a nap taker, but me taking my spirit basically saying, no, we're going to put you into a nap for 15-20 minutes. That was that reset. It allowed, I had put all that conscious attention on trying to breathe into it, and I had relaxed myself down to a point that I just fell asleep for 15 minutes. And in that, I actually reset myself. So learning what those reset points are is really a good space to be. But yeah, so really, sometimes breathing into love, to get back into the point here, breathing into that love space. So, going into it, that means that you have to sometimes step through that threshold of that fear, that worry, that pain, and realize that that suffering is mostly just coming from in here. It's not coming from out here. And just to move right through it by relaxing into it and tapping into those spaces of love that comes up, and just moving forward. And the more consciously you can do that, the quicker you'll move through things and the less suffering you're going to have. But yeah, so, okay. I don't want to get too long-winded. I feel like I've gotten horribly long-winded. But look today at where you are constricting and where you're opening up, and how when you are constricting, you can open up a little bit more. Try to figure out what those reset points are. You know, like what works for you. What is something that works for you? And the big ticket here is don't beat yourself up for being human, for having these moments. One of the biggest reasons that I share half the stuff that I share is because I'm constantly trying to be the permission for everybody else to be human too. So I figure if I share my goofy moments, if I share those stupid moments, if I share that, hey, you know, shit happens to me too. I get upset, I get depressed, I get angry. Not everything always works out. You know, I have beautiful, incredible, loving, blissed out moments. I have a lot of them. But at the same time, I have this other stuff that happens too that I perceive as negative. Now, that's just my perception of it. And in you learning that it's okay to be human and to experience that hopefully I'm giving enough permission to also not beat yourself up. See it for the lesson that it is and embrace that. See it that this is something for you to move through. Whether it is good or bad, it doesn't really ultimately matter. Learning how to move through it in grace is all that really truly matters. How are you breathing into today's experience? How are you breathing into this moment's experience? What are you going to do with that? Are you relaxing into it and moving through it with grace and ease? Or are you constricting and causing yourself suffering? Because there's plenty of people that have fantastic stuff going on. Absolutely, you know, like if you were looking at it from a different person's perspective, you'd be like, wow, that's amazing. And they're constricting and they're focused on the suffering. So really, really look at how you're constricting and how you're breathing into life. Okay? As always, thank you guys. Thank you. I don't know. Maybe I should change Conscious Coffee to 7 o'clock. It seems like there's more activity at 7 o'clock. But give me your guys' feedback on that sometime. Like maybe I'll put out an email or something and asking if 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. is better, because I've noticed that there's a lot more people on this and a lot more activity. So I really do like that. It's nice to have conversation with everybody and get people's feedback during, not just after. Thank you, April, for joining too, and Addison and Lori and Amy, and I saw somebody else up there. I'm not gonna go flipping through, but if this touched you at all, please hit the little share button. That little share button. Facebook, the way they operate, more people that share, the more exposure, and then they actually start paying attention to your Facebook Lives and supporting you a little bit more. So please, hey, thank you, Mika, for joining too. So just hit that little share button. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for the fantastic comments, ladies, today. Thank you. It's been Ladies' Day. And I will catch you guys tomorrow morning at 6 or 7. I'm going to make a decision on this today. I might just change it to 7 o'clock Conscious Coffee. It might work a little bit better. It's my own thing. I can change it to whatever I want, right? Nobody's going to fire me. But I will catch you tomorrow, and I'll put a little notation out here on the coaching page as to what time that's going to be. So I love you guys. Go have a fantastic, beautiful, open day of bliss and surrender and love and joy and laughter and all that good stuff that every one of you deserves. And I will catch you tomorrow. Bye.